Hey there, it's Rachel Mullins, the host of hashtag No Filter Fridays on Public House Media.
Thank you for joining the Confessions of a Military Spouse podcast. I am your host, Jenna. I'm a military spouse of 10 years, a registered and certified dental assistant, and a mom to an amazing little girl. Again, I want to thank you for being here with me today, and if you find that today's episode resonates with you in any way, or you know someone that could greatly benefit from hearing this, I highly encourage you to share it. Also, I greatly appreciate any and all feedback, whether it's good or bad. So if you would like to leave some feedback, please feel free to email me at confessionsofamilspouse@gmail.com. You can find me on Facebook at Confessions of a Military Spouse or on Instagram at Confessions of a Mil Spouse. So this episode will probably be short and sweet, but with all of the recent events happening in the world, specifically with our military, I thought it would be a good idea to talk about OPSEC and PERSEC to remind us all about the quote-unquote rules of both, and whether you're a military spouse, a military family member, or even active duty, I think it's a great reminder to hear these things because I think we often forget some of the common sense things that go along with these. And with the world of technology and social media that we have, it's easy to forget or not really even think about things that could be violating OPSEC or PERSEC and putting your military member and potentially even yourself and your family in danger. So let's go ahead and jump on in. First, if you're military, you've probably heard about OPSEC and maybe even PERSEC, but maybe then again not, because to be 100% honest, I didn't really even know PERSEC was a thing until I started kind of researching this topic, so I could bring you guys really great information. And even my husband was like, what the hell is PERSEC? So what I want to do is I want to discuss what each of these things are and then the quote unquote rules that go along with each of them and how we can use these to help keep us safe, our military members, and our families safe. Since OPSEC is the more commonly known term, let's go ahead and start with that. So what is OPSEC and what does it stand for and why is it beneficial? Well, OPSEC stands for Operations Security, and OPSEC protects U.S. operations planned, in progress, and completed. OPSEC is keeping potential adversaries from discovering critical information about the Department of Defense. And success of military missions rely on secrecy, the element of surprise, and private information. You know, the enemies want to know crucial and critical information, and they unfortunately do not just target the military member to get that information. They also can target us as spouses and families, and even sometimes friends. Unfortunately, OPSEC can't be summed up in a nice, tidy little list of rules and regulations because there's so many different possible situations that the rules of OPSEC are always kind of changing depending on what, is going on. But there are some great general rules and guidelines to follow, and that's what I want to cover now. So, number 1, do not post detailed information about the mission of assigned units. Meaning, whatever unit your military member is with, if they give you mission, quote-unquote, specific information, do not go post those on social media. Don't send it through email to another family member so they can share it. Honestly, the best thing that you can do is keep that information to yourself. Number 2, this one is huge, especially with technology today. Do not post details on locations and times of deployment. First of all of you military spouses know dates and times of deployments are going to change literally like every 3 seconds anyway. So you'd constantly be having to update that information. But secondly, and most importantly, that gives our enemies the perfect opportunity to plan an attack. So again, keep it to yourself. Number 3, do not post about or talk about your spouse's specific job on social media. Seems pretty straightforward, and I know, especially in spouse groups, we tend to feel more secure because there's usually an admin overseeing things, and, maybe we want to look for spouses within our husband's units or spouse's units, but honestly, you never know who could be lurking in those groups. Admins tend to do a great job, but it's really, really hard to get everything. So don't post on social media specifically about your spouse's job. Number 4, do not post where your spouse is ported. So when my husband went on deployment on the ship, this was the first time I had ever heard about quote unquote port. And I had no idea what it even meant. But so if anybody else is feeling that way, basically what it means is if your military member is deployed on a ship, they'll port at different locations when they're going to and from their deployment. But when they do that and where they do that is definitely best to keep that information to yourself and not post it on social media, not, emailing to other family members, because those family members can then in turn email other people or talk about it, in front of other people, and you just never know. Number 5, do not post about personnel transactions that occur in large numbers, such as pay information, powers of attorney, wills, etc. Anything like that is primarily done prior to a deployment. So military members are required to get power of attorney. They have to have a current will and things like that. And they have to do that prior to deployment every single time. So even if you're not giving out specifics or even coming out right and saying that your military member is deploying, if someone of the enemy is looking for something and you're posting like, oh, got power of attorney today or something like that, they'll be able to put the pieces together. Number 6, do not post details on locations and times of unit trainings. So we as spouses all know that prior to a deployment, they have an unruly amount of training that has to happen. And like I said before, if someone is looking for something, they're going to find it, whether you're deliberately posting about it or not. And so if you're sitting there saying, oh, my husband's, gone for training, he'll be back in 2 months or whatever, people are going to be able to figure things out. Number 7. And this one was one that I didn't necessarily think about until kind of doing my research. Avoid the use of count up or countdown tickers, especially on social media. So I know a lot of people do the pie chart countdown whenever their spouses are deployed. Maybe if you've been on recruiting duty, you probably do it then too. But even if you have the dates and days remaining blocked off, it's still not a good idea to post those on social media because, like I've said 2 other times, if someone's looking for something specific, they're going to be able to find it. And yeah, I know maybe it's just a pie chart that has a quarter of it gone, but still, people can put 2 and 2 together. And, maybe one of your friends like that pie chart who their husband is deployed with your husband and they've posted more information. I mean, it's really scary, the things that people can, the things that people can find out. Number 8, and this one's pretty big as well, and one that I really can't stress enough. Be careful if you're posting pictures of your loved one. I know as a spouse, it's always super exciting to get pictures of your military member while they're gone. And, being super proud of them, well, you just want to show them off. But we have to be extremely careful when doing that because that can give things away to people that we don't want to give things away to again. So my best advice and what I did is I would only share what was officially shared by in my husband's case, Marine Corps themselves. So if my husband, if the Marine Corps would share a picture of my husband while they were gone, I knew it was safe to share on my page, so I would just share from theirs. Number 9, my last and probably best piece of advice: do not pass on rumors. So many times during deployments, there are rumors like, I heard they're coming home early, or I heard they have to stay, they got extended, or I heard they're here doing this, or I heard someone was injured in the hospital, etc. Honestly, we're already stressed and on edge and worried, and the worst thing that you can possibly do during a deployment in a time like we are in now as a nation is to spread rumors. So unless you 100% are certain that what you're sharing is true, it's best to wait and share only once you know 100% for certain that the information you're giving is true and correct. Like I said before, we live in a world full of technology and social media, and I just want to tell you all to be smart when using these things. If you have Facebook or Instagram, I highly suggest setting them to private so only your friends can see your things. I also suggest not geotagging photos on social media unless they're a very general, vague location. But honestly, even then, I think the best practice is to not geotag at all. Social media will not be going away anytime soon, unfortunately. And there are more and more issues that arrive with social media, and it's so much easier and quicker for our enemies to find what they're looking for with technology the way that it is. So let's do ourselves a favor and let's not help them out or make it any easier for them. All right, so we just talked about OPSEC, so let's go on to PERSEC. In my personal opinion, OPSEC and PERSEC basically go hand in hand. PERSEC stands for personal security, so OPSEC is operations security and PERSEC is personal security. OPSEC is designed to deal more with the day-to-day operations going on in the military, which can be anything from deployment dates to troop movements to unit trainings, things like that. PERSEC, though, deals more with each individual's personal security and how they safeguard their own personal information. So let's first talk about PERSEC and how it relates to deployment. Since PERSEC deals with the protection of personal information, this information would be like rank, addresses, any information about members of the family, etc. If you post pictures of your military member, even if they're not deployed, it would probably be a good idea to only post pictures without their uniform on, which is something I'm not the greatest about. I mean, I've posted ball pictures with their unit attached to it and everything. So like I said, this was a good refresher course for me as well. If you receive a package or a letter from your military member while they're deployed, it's definitely a smart idea to either take off the shipping label and shred it, or take a Sharpie and block out their personal information. That way you're not leaving anything up to chance, and don't assume that someone can't find out information on you from even the most subtle hints in a picture. And since we're kind of leading into this, let's talk about PERSEC on social media. I know we talked about OPSEC. I know we talked about it in the OPSEC section also, but let's kind of dig in a little more. So when your spouse has gone on deployment or training, the people in your life that truly need to know are going to know. It's not a good idea, even if you're not a military member, it's not a good idea to post on social media to your hundreds or thousands of quote-unquote friends that you're home alone. Like I said, even if you're not a military member, you shouldn't be doing that, because if someone is looking for something, or, they're have a target on your home, if you're posting on social media, maybe they're friends with someone that you're friends with and they find out that you're home alone. Like, not only as military members does it give our enemies something to dig deeper into, but it also gives all of those creeps online monitoring social media a heads up that you're going to be home alone, which is not a good thing. And along those lines, be aware of who you're talking to. As a military spouse, I know it's super easy to get swept up in conversation, especially, with a cashier at the mall, at the grocery store, at a restaurant, work, etc. I mean, you can be talking to one person and the next thing you know, you told that person that you're buying something to send in a care package to your military member and you have to rush out because you have to get your kid from daycare before you're late for the 15th time and get home quickly because your dog is sick. And I know it seems innocent enough, and it's a conversation that's had by so many military spouses and family members and just people in general, honestly. And we don't want to seem insensitive by not engaging in conversation, but something as simple and innocent as that conversation can be so much more than that. And you just gave them a snapshot of what your day looks like, and now they know you're home alone with a kid or kids and a dog, and what's stopping them other than the dog from coming into your house. And I know it seems like a lot of this is common sense, and you're probably thinking, sheesh, this chick is a super paranoid and must live her life constantly looking over her shoulder. Well, I'm here to tell you that I don't, and I'm also not paranoid either. I'm just smart and want you all to be smart too. I'm not saying all of this to scare you or limit your freedom of speech because, after all, that's what our military members fight to protect. But I say this to make sure you check on even the smallest things before posting on social media, and to be conscious of even the smallest conversations you're having. And above all, just be smart. If you have questions on whether or not you should be posting something or saying something or tagging a location, chances are you probably shouldn't be. I hope that you are able to take all of this information and whether it's new to you or just a refresher, use it to make smart choices and to keep OPSEC and PERSEC in the back of your mind. Like I said, given this world that's full of technology and social media and everything like that, just be smart about what you're posting and who you're talking to and what conversations you're having with who. We are a very small-knit community of military spouses, and it's easy to get caught up in things, and it's kind of easy to let these small things pass by. But given the time that we're in right now in the world, I think it's a good reminder for everyone to hear all of these things. Thank you so much for being here with me today. And as I said, I hope that some of this information was new or a great reminder to you. And if you know someone that could benefit from hearing this, or you just want to share it with other military spouses or even family members, please feel free to share. And as always, leave any feedback. And don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast listening platform so you never miss an episode.